Carol and Cheryl, Cheryl and Carol, Carol and Cheryl. Welcome back to Conversations with Carol and Cheryl. Thank you for pressing listen. I would like to remind everybody to like our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our YouTube channel. Today we have a celebrity, a special guest. Hi, Jake. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Jake's going to talk about the Dad Bod. Jake, how long have you been a dad?
I have been a dad for just under 2 years. Today is the 6th of September, and my daughter's second birthday is on the 20th. Coming up on 2 years, and then baby number 2 is due at the end of next month. Not that long.
Well, you're in with both feet, though.
Yes.
There's no turning back. And then do you count in the 2 years the pregnancy? Because you were part of the pregnancy, right? You had to eat pizza and...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm at this point, I'm eating and drinking for 4, since Lauren can't partake. So a lot of people will say that, you're a dad when the wife gets pregnant. Yeah, that's true. But I really felt like a dad the second I saw my daughter born. Of course, I was excited to be a dad, but it didn't feel real until I got to hold her.
I think that's typical for most men. We've talked about this on other episodes where the mom feels the kicking and just very bonded with the baby by the time it comes out. But there's a reason for that. I think it's for survival.
I totally think so too, yeah.
Tell us about your body and how things have changed for you and what your emotions are around that.
Well, it's funny because you asked how long I've been a dad. And although 2 years doesn't seem like a long time, it seems like a long time compared to how long I feel like I've had a dad bod. I have really only started to gain weight in, I guess, the last 9 months, but especially the last 6 months. At the beginning of, lockdown, COVID-19, I was already on kind of a more focused fitness regimen. Along with trying to get stronger, you got to eat more. And so the body just naturally puts on some extra weight. And before you know it, you're a little heavier than you used to be. I've always kind of been a really slight guy. October of last year, I got really sick and spent about 2 weeks in the hospital and came out skinnier and weaker than I'd ever been. And so that's kind of what kickstarted my more focused workout regimen and taking care of my body and eating right and listening when my body was telling me that I needed to do something or stop something. Kind of the beginnings of the Dad Bod saga with Jacob.
So why did you decide to start working out more?
When I was in the hospital, I totally weak. I was in bed for 2 weeks. I needed help getting to the restroom and I was just completely powerless. And that was a horrible feeling, especially when my daughter was finally able to visit. I could only hold her for a few minutes before just being exhausted, and I couldn't keep up with her. Even when I was released from the hospital, I was ready to help. It was horrible to just kind of be stuck in a chair or in bed and watch my family live life around me and not really be able to be a part of it. So something switched in my mind to focus more than I ever had on exercise. And I've always I've never looked unhealthy, but, I've never really committed myself to taking care of my body. In about February of this year, I went back to the gym, and then when the gyms closed, I got whatever workout equipment I could get my hands on and kept working out at home.
How did you change your diet when you started working out? Did you take in more protein?
Yeah, I experimented with a lot of different plans and then finally realized that the less I try to plan, the better. I'm the kind of person that if I go into something, I will jump in with 2 feet, like you said. In the beginning phase, I was doing all the research and I was trying the different programs and doing the different diets and keeping track of every calorie and, what are my macros today? But that just ended up becoming more of a burden than helped me. I did continually track calories occasionally just to make sure I was taking in what I needed. And if I saw that I hadn't gotten as much protein the day before, okay, I'll have an extra shake today, or, hey, I'll cook chicken with lunch. But I did also start eating vegetarian lunches. That kind of made me feel better and light on my feet. I do intermittent fasting. done that for a long time, but now it's like focused. I don't eat breakfast, and I only eat really within like noon to 8 in the evening. Probably the biggest change for me, though, was I completely cut nicotine out of my life, which also increase your weight because, nicotine generally keeps people down. So before going into the hospital, I had used vaporizers and e-cigarettes for almost 7 years. And that originally was to help me quit smoking real cigarettes. But then I was never able to stop vaping. Finally being in the hospital for 2 weeks made me quit, and I never picked it up again. So that was probably the biggest change to my health, I think.
You said quitting nicotine helped you?
I think so. I think nicotine can keep you skinny. I talked to people who quit nicotine and they've noticed that they've gained weight, whether that's because maybe you're snacking more to like fulfill the cravings, or like I know for myself with smoke or vape, like I wouldn't be hungry anymore. It's like a hunger suppressant. Maybe that's part of it, but also I just generally feel better not being dependent on a chemical.
You started bulking up, getting some muscle, and then
Number two,
maybe putting on a layer on top of that. How did you view yourself when you see yourself in the mirror?
I think kind of the thing that sparked you having me on this podcast was a post I made just a week ago, which is just a pretty, innocent video of me working out. But I did kind of detail like my feelings around my body. And the whole reason I decided to post that is because, one, I really believe in being honest and vulnerable, especially right now in such difficult times for people while a lot of us are isolated. Social media is the only time that we really can feel any kind of social connection. I should be a little more vulnerable than I would normally be, and hopefully can help someone. So I took that video of me working out, and it was just supposed to be like a form check. I wanted to see if my posture was good, if I was engaging the right muscle groups. I think a lot of people do that when they're working out. And, took the video, didn't mean to post it. And then when I looked at the video, my first thought was not critiquing my form or like, oh, how do my muscles look? My first thought was, what is that around my waistline? Where did that weight come from? And I realized in that moment that I had on this journey, you could call it, of trying to take care of myself, trying to reach some goal that I hadn't defined, never really gotten to like a good body that I wanted. I'd gone from feeling too skinny, feeling too weak, and now all of a sudden I'm like, where's all that weight from? And I tipped the needle too far in one direction. And that was just my instant reaction. As I thought about it and processed more and wrote about it, I realized like, no, this is healthy. I'm still a healthy weight. I'm taking care of myself because I'm working out more than I need to carry a little extra weight. And hey, winter's coming, so what's wrong with having a little extra pounds? This is kind of the beginnings of my feelings of recognizing like, hey, my body's changed, getting older. I'm doing different things in life. That my body might look a little bit different, but it's still me that I'm taking care of. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you originally looked at the video, what did you think you were going to see? Arnold Schwarzenegger, but then it wasn't?
I was thinking, like, well, what do I expect? Like I've looked in a mirror. I don't know if I had any expectation, and maybe that's healthy, maybe that's unhealthy. Whatever I subconsciously expected to see, well, extra 5 pounds around the waistline. And I think a lot too just be me focusing in on like an imperfection, because I did go back and look at the video again and try and come at it from a new perspective. Like, okay, so your stomach's gotten a little bigger. What else is going on in this video? And at that point, I was able to be like, all right, your posture is good. Like, hey, man, look at your biceps. You're looking good. But I had to like get myself in that mind space to give myself that pep talk. And
based on that video, are you adjusting your diet or doing anything different?
Not so much, because now that I'm removed from just the initial like viewing myself from that side angle, I can go back and look and I can be like, no, I'm getting my 10 steps a day, and Fitbit will scold me when I don't. I'm eating well, and I still do track calories here and there, so I know I'm not going over. So I did kind of look back at some times that this week maybe not eating healthy, or maybe I have indulged a little bit. And sometimes I think that can be important too. It's not always about just pursuing those washboard apps that you see on Instagram. If I'm hanging out with my friends and we're having a game night, then yeah, I'm going to have a few beers. I'm going to have a dinner that consists of pretzels and tortilla chips, and that's okay. I think that's healthy, as long as that's not a norm.
Do you have any advice for other listeners?
I've consciously listened to a lot of body positive podcasts or, listen to speakers who might focus on embodiment. And a lot of times you'll hear people say you need to look in the mirror and only say good things about yourself. But I've also started hearing people say, no, it's okay to recognize the things you see that aren't maybe up to snuff. Because only by recognizing it can you then learn to accept it. If I just went and looked at every video of myself or every picture from here on out and just ignored my waistline, well, I don't want to look at that. I only want to look at the positives. I don't think that would be healthy either. I think when it comes to like being body positive, just focusing on self-care, I think you really have to look at the whole picture, because even just my body is only one part of the whole picture. So if I'm really truly trying to take care of all of me, then yeah, I need to learn to recognize all of the different parts that make me me.
Do you think it's common for men to be hypercritical of certain body parts? Especially when you're training?
No, I totally think so. And I have started to have these conversations with some of my closer guy friends. They're like, oh, yeah, no, I can't look at my stomach. Or, oh, I would never take a video of myself with a shirt off, These are people who I would look at and be like, you look great, man. What are you talking about? I don't think you have anything to be worried about. And I don't think it's just worried about an extra 5 pounds around the midsection. I think everybody probably thinks something unique to them that they feel like isn't perfect enough. I can think of, for myself, I've never been able to grow facial hair. And I don't even want to grow facial hair. I don't want to grow a beard. But even saying I can't grow a beard in some way feels like I'm admitting a fault, Does actual Jacob really care about that? No. But my first reaction, which I'm trying to recognize, is I don't really want to tell anyone I can't grow a beard. What a crazy thing to think, For other people, it might be, oh, they can grow a beard, but their quads aren't big enough, or, maybe their back muscles, which they don't even ever see. They don't feel like those are is defined. I'm sure everyone has something. They're just probably not willing to talk about it as much as they'd like.
I think you're right. I mean, we hear about this all the time in women. Women are very critical. When we look in the mirror, we're trying to be sexy. We want to have the mom bod.
Mm-hmm.
We do targeted workouts to get the bubble butt, get the flat stomach. And we talk about it all the time with our girlfriends and amongst ourselves. But you don't really hear guys talking about it. So
no, not so much. I do think that's changing. I don't think I'm the only guy out there who's like, hey, I'm going to be honest about my feelings about my body. I think more people are coming around to, not just being a male body image or a female body image. I think all could probably stand to be a little more body positive.
I think it's great that you're just focusing on it, that you made a conscious decision, like you said, to jump in with 2 feet and try and do better self-care, do your workouts. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, and you have to be organized with your food and your time and your sleep, especially. A lot of people never get to that point. All right, Cheryl.
I've been that way before. Yeah, I agree. At one point in my life, I was really into CrossFit, and then that went away. At another point, I was like, well, maybe soccer. I need to get back into soccer. That's what's going to get me to, some undefined goal. And I can't even think when I started focusing more intently on working out this time around, I was, I just want to weigh 185 pounds because I'd never weighed that much in my life. For me, that's still within the range of healthy weight. And then I got to 185. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what I expected to feel, but this isn't it. And so then I kind of realized all right, maybe taking care of yourself and fitness is a moving target. Maybe we're always changing. Maybe I'm always changing. And so maybe my fitness goals need to change as well. For instance, right now I've been on a huge, weird kettlebell variation kick because like many people, I think one of the only fitness implements I have that I can work out at home with during COVID is a kettlebell. Real tired of just in around the living room in the same way, night after night. And so I'm just looking at videos of what is the weirdest thing I can do with a kettlebell? Not to work out my body, but also to keep my mind engaged and to keep it fun and exciting. If I'm not enjoying it, then I don't really know if there's much sense to continuing.
You can join live classes online and do aerobics or all kinds of things, change up your routine. I can tell you how to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
You watch it while eating dinner.
That's right. I'm like, look at those girls go. Good for them. Someone told me, and I wish I didn't hear it, but I'm glad I heard it because it's true. But I notice it. We were carpooling home, and my friend's husband says, every 7 years you change, your looks change. And I was like, and damn, if that's not true. I've noticed like a jump. You know what I mean? Like I've noticed from 50 to 55 with me. I'm like, I'm hitting that 7-year mark. Damn him. It's true. And it's funny because like I watch the Housewives, okay? Bravo on Bravo.
Oh, I love trash TV. Yeah.
Do
Don't feel bad.
you?
Oh,
We got to an episode on that. So do I. Do you watch the Housewives?
My wife just started watching Housewives, and I don't know which one, but we have for a long time done Bachelor brackets. So every Bachelor season, we make a bracket, and the winner of our friend group either gets a bottle of wine or a 6-pack of beer. So, yeah, I'm all in.
That's neat. It's funny because I watch on that show. I mean, they have the best plastic surgeons, and there's just things that they cannot fix, just the aging process. And it's so funny because sometimes on TV, you'll see these women, and I don't want to call her out on, it's a news show, but she's got a really cute face. And then, or a lot of these older women, they fix themselves up. The face is nice and tight. And then they go like this, and it's like, oh, the hand is like red and veiny and skinny. And it's just like, damn, they're just, what are you going to do? All night, you can't raise your glass to drink or anything, But anyway, I just thought it was kind of funny. Yeah. You do, your body and everything changes, it seems like every 7 years.
On a lighter note, so my wife and I this year will celebrate 7 years of marriage, but we've been together since 2011. So we have all these pictures on Facebook of us. We were 19 when we got together. So we just have all these pictures of us. We can look through the years as we grow. And for me, oh yeah, my hair's gotten darker. Weird. And my wife, she's a mom now, or I filled out, It's funny how that works.
Yeah, I think the takeaway here is you really have to accept yourself where you're at. Even if you're progressing towards a goal,
Totally.
you have to just embrace the now. And it's funny, we do it for other people.
Yes.
We love other people exactly where they are, where they're at in their game.
Yeah.
And we're not judging them looking at, it looks like they do a lot of bench presses, but not a lot of leg work. Those legs look like sticks. I don't look at somebody and that's my first impression.
Oh, Jesus,
I love you just the way you are. Don't change.
I think that is a good point. You do accept people. They'll point things out and you're like, I don't even see it because I think the personality and all that comes through. And that's a good point. You accept other people, but when it comes to yourself, you're like, checking out the details.
Yeah. And I've noticed that as I'm taking better care of myself, listening to my body, it helps me mentally too. And it helps me to be more present for my wife and for my kids and even for my dog, for all the people around me that need me. If I'm a more whole person, then I can be there better for them. It reminds me of the saying, love your neighbor as yourself. In order to love your neighbor, you got to love yourself a little bit first.
Absolutely. And the other benefit is your kids see you working out. They see you making life choices with food and sleep. And they don't always do what we say, but they do what we do. So you're modeling all of that behavior.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So that's making you a really great dad because they're going to do what you're doing. They're watching.
We had some friends that I walked into their house and they had this little kids workout set. It's like a bench with some foam dumbbells and also had a kettlebell. I was like, that is great. I need to find one of those. A couple months later, they were getting rid of it. And I was like, I'll take it. And this was just a few weeks ago. So we have that in our living room. And so normally I would work out in the evenings or in the early afternoon when my daughter's sleeping just because it's easier that way. But the other day I was like, I want to work out while she's around. And so I grabbed my kettlebell and I'm swinging it around, doing my weird kettlebell variations. And lo and behold, she picks it up and grabs it and just starts smacking it on the floor. Her little kettlebell. She's just doing her kettlebell workouts too. And it was one of those sweet moments where I was like, "You go, baby girl. You got it."
So cute. I can see her doing it too.
I wish I had my phone on me because it was beautiful.
Yeah. I think my kids watched me and they're both pretty athletic. I know your parents are pretty athletic too.
Oh yeah.
I know your dad works out hard with those kettlebells too.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe-
Yeah.
Maybe you can keep it going with the
I hope so.
generations.
Yeah, that's the plan.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from getting sick and then transforming yourself into where you are now?
The first day that I was in the hospital, especially for the first 12 hours, I was really sick. When I went in, I had a really bad viral infection that turned into pneumonia. And then by the time I was admitted to the hospital, they said I had ARDS, acute respiratory disease syndrome. And my oxygen levels were at 65%. And they told me, they were like, "There's no way you should have been able to walk in on your own." I was making jokes and stuff the whole time. You may have passed out in your sleep and never come back if you hadn't came in this evening. And so for the first couple hours, I was on oxygen. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then I just kind of decided, I'm going to make it. I have to make it. I need to get better. And that was kind of my mantra the whole time. It's something that I got from my great grandpa a time when he was sick. He's since passed, but not from this. He was sick one time, broke a hip, and he was in rehab, and he just kept saying, "I got to get better. I got to get better." And so that's what I told myself the whole time I was in the hospital. I didn't really have any regrets. The only thing I regretted was that miss out on my daughter's life. That I would miss out on, all the memories that I knew her and her mom would have together. I miss out on being with my wife, being with my family. And so that was kind of the impetus for like, well, I want to enjoy every day that I have after this to the best of my ability. And I want as many days as possible. So I need to start taking care of myself. Because at the time I wasn't, I was still using nicotine. I was the only person at my work that was able to do a variety of jobs that normally you'd have multiple people. So I was working crazy hours. I wasn't eating well. And so I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to be here for the people I love. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of every day I have with them to the best of my ability.
You're an inspiration to me, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Jake. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story. I
for
enjoyed
having me.
listening to you. It's always great catching up.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Carol and Cheryl,
All
thank
right.
you. Carol and Cheryl, thank you.